Hello and welcome to Own Your Change. Today, I am going to be talking about a process that I take my clients through, which is 6 steps of coaching. So let's dive into what these steps are. The reason why I am bringing this podcast top of mind today is because I am going to do this exact coaching with my client tomorrow. And so I thought, what better opportunity to share this with everyone that is looking to change any aspect of their health or any behavior in their life, any relationship, anything that you are trying to change. This is a process that you can take yourself through, or you can hire a coach that can help you go through this. So let's break it down, starting with making it very simple to understand. Five different steps in this process. We are going to assess, okay? We are going to guess. We'll try something, we'll measure it, and then we'll repeat it. So, in other words, the work that I am doing is collaborating with a client and trying to understand what are their goals. So that's what the assessment is. What are your goals right now? And what's your current situation? Then guess that looks like, let's come up with ideas to move you forward to get to this goal. Then try. All right, well, let's try something. Try something new. See what sticks, what lands. Then measure, very important here. We need to see what happens. When you try this, what is the result? Okay, simple. And then 5 is repeat. So what are we going to decide what to do next based on what we just measured? So again, the 6 steps are assess and gather data through my clients, through their goals. I understand step 2 is understanding the client and building that story. So where are they at right now today, March 1st, 2026? Step 3, we will be creating an action plan and possible next steps. Step 4 is we are going to choose one next action step and then test it. Step 5, we will observe and monitor what happens. And then step 6, we will use outcome-based decision making to set up your next plan, next step in the process. How are we going to update the system? So the coaching process becomes very circular, and what I help my clients do is guide them to that path forward. Tomorrow I'll be collecting all the information from my client, understanding their current goals, their needs, and their skills. And then we will understand and explore what is their current situation, what is their story, and what is the trajectory that we want to march forward towards. So then we will strategize together. We'll create a plan. This is a draft. These are possible next steps. And then we're going to take just one action to try it. And we'll see what happens. And then we will monitor what this next step is and record what happens. Step 6 out of all, we just did 1 through 5, okay? Then after we have observed and monitored, we will create and analyze and evaluate using outcome-based decision making to choose what is next. And then that's just how the pattern continues. So we're going to do our assessment, progress check, continued progress check until we are getting the result that my client's looking for. And so what I like to express specifically in recording habits, there are so many different ways that we can track habits, and it doesn't have to come down to a number. We can monitor other aspects of our health. And so last week, let me pull this up. Last week I made 4 different categories of things that we can track. There's a lot we can track. So there's objective indicators. So these would be blood work, lab tests, and body measurements. Some people don't want to track those things, and that's totally fine. So what other indicators that are more subjective can we track? So these would be, think of physiological indicators such as pain, inflammation, a sense of well-being, overall wellness. If any clients have GI symptoms and digestion issues, we can track that. We also can track energy and fatigue, sleep quality, joint mobility, stiffness, immunity. You guys get it. So those would be our physiological indicators. What is our body? What are we feeling in our body, right? And then we have psychological indicators. So this we could track your mood, your emotional stability, perceptions of stress, overall outlook on life, and your resilience, whether you are feeling calm and relaxed. And another one I like to track, I hear a lot from clients, is this oh my gosh, I'm blinking. Foggy brain. So clarity of thought, ease of learning and remembering things. And then the last kind of bucket we could track would be social and daily life indicators. So this would be social engagement, your confidence, your quality of your relationships, your network, and participation in daily life activities. So there's a lot of things that we can track outside of just the scale, outside of your blood pressure, and that can become very empowering because sometimes I find that the scale or more objective measurements can become uh, it can become like a kind of more negative focus, and I want to provide the opportunity for it to be a very positive, or at least just not negative, experience of trying to adapt to change some aspect of your life. And tomorrow I will be starting with my client. We are doing online coaching sessions. And we are going to start with a deep health questionnaire because, like I just mentioned, all of the objectives that we could track. My point in bringing all of this to awareness is that these are all the dimensions of your health. So it's not just physical well being, but it's your relationships, it's your existential, feeling like you have a purpose in life, and your mental aspect of health. And then we have the physical, of course. We also have the emotional and the environmental. So I'll break down each one of these categories, starting with the physical. So this is, how are you feeling in your life? Are you performing and functioning well? Are you feeling vibrant and energized? Are you thriving, or are you exhausted? And you're like, I don't have time for any of this, and you're run down. Are you in pain? Physical, does your back hurt? What are some limitations that you physically are feeling right now? And how recovered do you feel? Do you feel like working out today? Do you feel the energy to go outside and go for a walk? Actually, no. Energy, well, yeah, energy can be physical also. It can go into other aspects of your health too. So that's our physical. Okay, we've got 5 other areas of our deep health that we need to unpack. So the second one would be emotional. So what is your emotional health like right now? How has your mood been? How is it? What's your outlook? What are the filters and the lenses that you are experiencing right now? So that would be an emotional dimension. Then also we can discuss and monitor how your emotions are, either how are you expressing them? And what are your coping mechanisms? What are your abilities to process or work through whatever emotions are directly on that are immediately impacting you, top of mind? And how are you able to calm yourself down while these emotions come up? Because inevitably you'll have a variety of emotions every single day. And does it spin you out of control, or are you able to slow down and process these emotions and these signals that are coming to you all throughout the day? How does your body hold that tension? So that would be the emotional dimension of health. And then the third dimension that we will discuss is your mental health. So these types of questions in this bucket is focusing on, kind of again similar to the emotional health, but this is really about calmness and slowing down the nervous system and slowing down all of the racing thoughts and all the things to do. And we're so busy, we're flying through life, and it's like we got to slow down and let's stay focused, and let's focus on one thing, not changing 17 different things, just one. And then let's just start with that, and let's build that confidence, and let's build that capability to get that one thing becoming a new habit of yours. And I think that once we have that confidence in, okay, I can change this one thing, and I see all of these results, whether it worked or it didn't. Okay, so after a week, let's reevaluate. Where are we at? Let's have a touch point, glue check, and let's talk about what worked well, and let's assess it, and then let's make a new plan or continue with that plan and try it for another week, and then check in. What worked? What's going on? Like, we have to continue to reevaluate every single week. And you don't have to make a huge drastic change, but let's just start with one thing and then build from there. Okay, so that's our mental health. Our fourth bucket in terms of deep health is our existential. And this one's really important. And this is kind of diving into the bigger why, or the purpose for living. And how do you identify in this world? And that's such a cool thing to explore because we're all in real time together right now. And how does your deeper values and the life that you are living, how do you show up in an existential manner? Because we're all we're all on our own journey, and it's like a pack of, I don't know, deer or what, or I don't even know if deer come in packs. Wolves, okay? Any farm animal. They're all moving the same way, and maybe you don't want to be, but you are, and you're a part of this pack. And maybe you want some part of your life to look different. And it's like, great. Let's talk about it. It's so possible. It is. And this isn't anything crazy. It's nothing dramatic. It's just small, simple steps. And I think, I like to use myself as an example of showing how change is possible. And yes, I wasn't not, I have habits that I've established and they're just unconscious now. And I just do. But and I'm using the word and there are still things that I'm working on today in 2026 that I'm growing towards. And so let me share with you how I do it. And let's be relatable because I'm not perfect at all. So let's talk through what your goal is. Let's talk about what other options, like let's try something new and let's just not change everything all at once. Just simple, okay? The fifth dimension of health that I like to go through with my clients is the relational aspect. And so how does your environment, how does your network, your community, your partner, your best friend, your whoever is your community, your relationships around you, do you feel supported by them? And are you able to be your authentic self with them? Because the people that you spend the most time with, they can be encouraging healthy new behaviors, or they might be kind of hindering, or maybe they're not supportive of your new healthy behavior. And so that's really key is who's your support, what environment are you around, because this is a really important filter and lens that you might not even be aware of if the people around you aren't doing something similar. And that's okay. They don't need to change just because you're trying to change this aspect. But I think it's an important conversation to have if you choose, with your community, your support, your network, and having the support of someone. Doesn't have to be your entire network, but having the support of someone or a few people that know what you are trying to change is also really helpful because they can help hold you in that accountability. Accountability is huge when we think of behavioral change, and there's lots of different ways that you can have this added layer of accountability. And the relationships around you are hugely impactful on your day to day, on your, again, this is just showing the full picture of these 6 huge buckets of everything that's going on around you. And there's a lot to unpack. And then I guess, okay, so the sixth one we will go through will be the environment. And the environment, there's a lot of different layers that we can unpack here. So when we think of environment, we think of, are you feeling relatively clean and safe and free of toxins? So for instance, does your roommate smoke cigarettes, or are you near industrial pollution or unsafe drinking water? And right now, a lot of my clients, we're all in Chicago, so we don't, well, that's a whole nother podcast episode later. But what is your environment you are in, and what do people around you, do they contribute to your well-being and your healthy behaviors that you are trying to adapt? And your community provides safety and security, and support. And so taking a look at your environment, your day to day, and how you spend your time is also, is it your sanctuary, or is it you're like, oh my gosh, it's terrible? And is your home your temple? Or is your community and the people that are around you, are they marching with you towards this goal? Oopsie. And if they aren't, that's okay, but let's be aware of that, and then let's set a plan to get you surrounded by people that are also trying to change something, an aspect of their health, of their overall well-being, of their relationships. There's so many opportunities to get support in such a big undertaking. And so after I go through this questionnaire with my client, you're like, great, what now? We just went through all these 6 aspects. So what's next? Well, glad you asked. So what we do after going through this kind of assessment and overall, like, what's the landscape we're looking at right now? And now that we have this picture in mind, let's recognize some of the unrelated factors. Like we went through the relationships, your work life, maybe These affect your ability to lose fat or to gain muscle, and overall just like improve your overall health. And so for the best results is we need to consider all the ways that your life might be affecting your progress. So, what's going well? Where are you thriving? And it's important to celebrate these small wins and notice when you're already succeeding, because focusing your attention on those small wins actually boosts your motivation and trains your brain to keep winning. And when we think of areas that we want to improve, we can't, or well, I have found that it's really beneficial not to beat yourself up. And it's not like you need to be perfect. We're not going for this high of just, changing 15 things at once and I just need to go to the gym every day. It's like, no, no, no. Let's simple it. Let's make it simple. And let's look at all the dimensions of your deep health. And maybe there's things that you actually haven't thought of. Or, you know, this idea that you're failing is really important, and it's important information because maybe you need more support around something and maybe you need guidance or practice, and that's okay. Instead of using the data of, oh, I didn't do this, I can't do this, I didn't have time for this, all of the I didn't, I can't. Okay, great, that's data. Why don't we set a realistic, manageable long-term goal for improving these dimensions of your health that might be lagging? And we can do this by asking yourself, okay, in order to improve this one area of my life, what could I consider doing or changing? And that's where the coaching comes in hand. Is we can start to talk through and collaborate what are my options? Like what can I change? What can I do? Instead of the framework of I can't, okay, well, let's reframe that into what can you do? There's a lot of things in life that we can't control, and there's also, if we know what our options are, then we can take control of our life and we can create an action plan and possible next steps. So after the consultation, assessment, conversation, what we do from there is we say, okay, this is the goal. Let's break it down. So the goal could be, I want to lose 10 pounds. I want to run a marathon. I want whatever. I want to feel better in this relationship. I want to improve my mental health or whatever your goal is. What we need to focus on though, in terms of creating this action plan is three things. Okay. What are the skills you need to learn, maintain, and improve to move towards that goal? All right. Then, what are the practices that will build that skill? All right. And then one more layer is what kind of small, regular actions support that practice. So as I take clients through this, I can it's called the 5S approach. So I collaborate with my client and we discuss, what's in the near future of building this new goal, part of your life, this aspect. And so the first part of this approach is being strategic. So let's connect what the goal is to my client and remove what's blocking them. Okay. So say you want to let's say you want to run a marathon. Great. So strategic, that's the goal. The goal is to run 26 miles come October. Great. What is currently today, March 1st, blocking you from getting there? So what's the strategy? Maybe you want to use Nike's running plan for your marathon training. Great. That can connect you to this huge goal accomplishment. That's great. What's the strategy? So let's find you a plan. Let's have someone's already done this. Let's not reinvent the wheel. Let's use Nike's running program that progresses you safely. And this has been researched already and tested time and time again. And this is the strategy. We will use Nike's running program to progress to achieve the marathon, by October 2026. Great. Okay, so that's the first approach, strategic. Number two is segmental. So this is kind of looking at the smaller pieces of the larger whole picture. So if the goal is to run the marathon, the segmental aspect of this goal would be, to each week. So segmenting, I'm going to start this training program, 16 weeks out, and week one, this is what my routine will be. So what's the smaller piece of this huge goal? That's the segmental aspect. Then sequential is let's do this in a step-by-step order. So great, you're going to do the running program. In terms of sequential, what needs to happen in sequential order? It's that simple in order to get to that goal. So do you need to get a gym membership so that you can start? You need to research what gym you want to go to. You need to go to the gym, sign up for the membership. You need to buy you need to go to the running store and get yourself running shoes. You need to have workout clothes. You need to go to Lululemon and get yourself a pair of running shorts. Okay. All of that needs to happen. That's not really a sequential order. All those tasks need to happen for you to start 16 weeks out with this running program. You also will need to, what are you going to do the day every week? What's your sequential routine going to be? Are you going to prioritize mobility and, other forms of conditioning? So maybe you'll incorporate swimming. You'll swim on Mondays and you'll run on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. What is the sequence of a step-by-step? What is this going to look like? All right. Then the fourth aspect of setting a goal with my 5S approach is simple. Okay. This needs to be so straightforward and clear and understandable. So simple. This could look like, it's now 16 weeks out. And so what is so simple to set myself up for this goal is every night before I go to bed, I'm going to put my workout clothes on my, next to the coffee machine or next in my bathroom. And so it's the first thing that I see right when I wake up. Great, running clothes are already there. I'm going to go for a run, or I'm going to have my running clothes with me. So after work, I can, go for my run. Simple. Just put your running clothes out the night before. That's all. And the last part is supported. This is huge, to ask for help. And whatever that looks like, talk to other runners that are doing it. Get yourself in a running club. Hire a coach. Go to Fleet Feet and join a running club and be around people that are supporting you towards this goal, and they're all doing the same thing. Everyone's training for the marathon at the running club that runs 3 days a week, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. Sign up for that running club and get yourself in a supportive environment where everyone around you is doing the same thing. It's huge. So all that being said, there are strategic ways to progressively create these overall long-term goals, and we just need a little strategy and short-term tactics. So you don't have to fix everything at once, nor should you try, but every action that you choose should somehow advance you. So what's the strategy? What are we working towards? And let's look for tasks that are lower effort but hugely impactful. So, what's the easiest, simplest, and laziest way that you can progress towards this goal? So, for instance, pausing before, say you're trying to lose 10 pounds. What about pausing before a meal and asking yourself, am I actually hungry? And this could be incredibly effective for someone that is looking to begin to eat less. Okay. So the strategy in this kind of simple action is pause, slow down, and assess. And we need to have a clear why for every task. So why am I pausing to check in with myself before I go for that snack? So let's be really clear for this. If you're saying, oh, I'm hungry. Okay, great. Go have that snack then. Or are you just bored and you're walking through the kitchen and you're on autopilot and that's what you've always done. You just snack whenever you want. Asking yourself why. Is my body cueing me that I'm hungry? Okay, well, then you should eat. Or are you just in an old pattern that you're used to? And starting to have that simple awareness can be hugely impactful. So what I like to encourage is to consider how to move from outcome goals to instead, let's look at the behavior goals. Let's make what are the skills, practices, and actions, small repeated behaviors. And what is really cool is that when we focus on the skills, the practices, and the actions that you might be willing to try, just try, and let's see what happens. So, say someone's having trouble sleeping. Let's look at your sleep habits. Let's look at your morning routine. Let's look at your caffeine intake. Let's look at what's your bedtime routine? How do you wind down at night? Are you on your phone until 10:30 and then you can't fall asleep till midnight because you've had this blue light at your eyes all like for, hours and you're just scrolling? All right, well, what can we change about that? Can you put your phone? So, first example, every single night, my phone goes on to do not disturb at 8:40 p.m. and I do not get a single notification until 5 a.m. when I wake up. And this has been hugely helpful because I don't want to get texts from every group message or client or whatever it is. I don't allow my sleep to get disturbed by that. And so I don't even have to think about it. I went into my phone and I went into do not disturb and I put a setting that every single night, 8:40 p.m., no alerts. And now I don't ever have to think about, oh, is this person trying to contact me? No. Prioritize your sleep. Simple step. Put on a reoccurring silence of notifications, and you don't even have to think about it after that. Simple step. Took me, I don't know, 20 seconds to do. And it's a huge impact for my sleep. Imagine that. All right, so basically, let's summarize everything I've been talking about is when we are trying to change any aspect of our health, any aspect of our life, we need to know exactly what we are doing and what are we measuring. It's important to have the individual ask themselves and reflect back in their own words and show that they do understand. And this is especially important for children or for youth who, they're cognitive or intellectually, or they are still adapting and they're so eager to learn and so eager to change. And sometimes as adults, we look through things in a different lens and it seems hard or we don't have the energy or we're just too tired to change. And sometimes I've found is that it's never too late. You're never too old. You're never too, time becomes a very interesting concept when we think about behavioral change. And you can't rely on motivation. You can't rely on anyone else to change anything in your life besides you. That's the one thing you can control. And when you're ready and you're willing and you're able to, then you can assign these very specific actions. And as long as you, as the individual trying to change, feel, let's call it 90% confident that they can do this assigned task, having this confidence and it makes the task a lot easier. And if we are not ready and willing and able to, these are all three different aspects of change, it's going to be really difficult to accomplish said new behavior, new habit. And so if we don't have the skills, we the motivation, the time, the knowledge, and other resources, likely we might not be able to get towards that goal. And then it becomes defeating, and then we lose the confidence, and then we just don't ultimately change. So, looking for these immediate successes and these easy wins in these simple, small tasks that we can do consistently, this will help create this successful, confident, and empowered individual. And building these small achievements on small achievements and solving little problem here, little problem here, then you are starting to understand the skill of how repeating these small, simple habits can really make a big change in your daily life. And we need to have rewards for this positive behavior. And what are those rewards going to be? So we need to have the tools and the information to accomplish this task, and then we need to have a reward. And so the reward, so for example, say you go to the gym 3 times a week. That's the goal. Okay, great. So instead of I get to have a hamburger or I get to have ice cream or rewarding it with food, if we're trying to work also on your diet, let's talk about other rewards that you can still feel accomplished and you still get a reward. But if we're trying to work on your nutrition and your diet, there's other rewards that are will produce that serotonin, will produce that reward to your brain. And there's so many chemicals released when we accomplish something in our brain. And so without going too deep into the science of that, Plain and simple, we need to choose what is your brain, what signal will your brain receive to feel this sense of accomplishment. And talking through what the easiest thing to do is most immediately and consistently. It's not going to be realistic for you to go to the gym 7 days this week. It just, that's not going to be a good goal. But what you could do in making it so simple is, how about instead of, 30% of my calories need to be for protein, how about let's look at 5 proteins and that you like and you know how to cook or just have on hand. And let's ensure that we have those 5 proteins. If you want to have protein at every meal, that they're in your pantry or in your kitchen so that you have them. So don't go out and buy 15 different proteins and then you'll have to throw it all out because you couldn't eat it all. Let's just start with 3 to 5. And let's build that into your daily routine. So, what are the factors that will have to be in place in order to do this action? Well, if you want to focus on eating out less and cooking more, well, how about on Sundays you go to the grocery store, or any day? I don't care what day it is. It could be on a Monday. And what obstacles might come up? Well, Monday, say you work until 6 p.m. Maybe Monday wouldn't be a great day if you get really tired on Mondays. So what about Sunday if you don't have work on Sunday? Could you go to the store then? And then once we set that action in terms of tracking it, I have one of my clients right now. She wants to walk we're trying to increase her just overall cardiovascular health. And so every Sunday she goes and walks on the treadmill. And she sends me a picture of the treadmill every Sunday. Great. So easy. That's how we're tracking it. I know she's doing it. She's held accountable. It's super easy, takes her 1 second. And that's how we're tracking that. We're building confidence through having success in 1 time a week. In addition to meeting with me 2 times a week, she is doing this goal or she's working towards the goal of improving cardiovascular health. And then the action is she goes on the treadmill and walks every single Sunday. I don't care what time of day it is. And she just sends me a little picture. That's great. And now we are building this consistency and we're observing and monitoring what happens. So that's what I've got for today. If behavioral change in any aspect of your life is important to you, reach out to me or reach out to a coach, reach out to someone that's done it, reach out to someone who's going through it. Find people in your environment that are going to support you towards this goal and let that fuel your fire and march towards that goal with confidence. And change is possible. It's possible, guys, I promise. All right. Well, happy Sunday and hope you guys have a great week.